What's up everyone, welcome back to ARTV. My name is John and it's time for another episode of Rapid Reviews, the show where we talk about new singles, EPs, and albums in 60 seconds or less. Now today we're going to be talking about more than 10 new releases from all different types of music, and in case you missed my announcement, which was pretty informal over on my Twitter page, give me a follow at ARTV Reviews if you like. I basically said that I'm starting to tire even more of the traditional album review format, and while I've been doing it for about a decade at this point, it's just not that exciting to me anymore, and while I'm not totally stepping away from album reviews, I'm just going to be covering less records, at least in traditional videos such as that. Now, that's where I need your help with this show, Rapid Reviews. I do plan to still cover singles, EPs, and albums, and as you know, my goal for 2019 was to listen to fewer albums overall. I need you to do me a favor and leave a like on this video. It helps YouTube, for whatever reason, know to see that engagement and then recommend me to other people, because with episodes of Rapid Reviews, I can't put everything that I'm covering in the title, so it's harder for it to get pushed out, and it's easier for it to get suppressed. Please drop a like on the video, and of course drop a comment with any thoughts on any of the releases that I covered today. I'll try and leave links for everything in the description down below, but let's go ahead and get started. Playing catch-up begins with the alternative band from Iceland themselves, Of Monsters and Men, and their track Alligator. This is their comeback single. It's their first new material since their 2015 release that I really did enjoy overall. I didn't come back to it a ton, but I was always excited to hear new material from them because they're just one of those likable bands, and this new song, fortunately, is extremely likable. This is something that makes me feel good while I'm listening to it. It has a summery ode to it, that type of vibe. It feels maybe like a Naked and Famous type track, that band from New Zealand, except a little bit rockier, a little bit more alternative grit to it, and I would say that there's an anthem feeling to it, a little bit of nostalgia trickling in. I like the hook about "we must be fever dreamin'" that kind of loops. The drums are quite nice on this track, the guitar stands out in the mix, and the vocals come across pretty solid. Overall, I've been jamming this tune, and I see myself coming back to this even more in the hot summer months. I'm gonna give this a 4 out of 5. Pop heartthrob Shawn Mendes is back already. His self-titled just dropped last May, and now we've already got a new track, If I Can't Have You. This was apparently inspired by the band from the UK, the 1975. I'm personally a big fan of that group, and to say that this is influenced heavily by them, it just kind of cheapens things. This feels like a cheapened version of that. I mean, the hook, it's catchy enough, but there's no real depth or dynamic to it. Shawn does a fine enough job at delivering it. He does feel peppy. I like the fact that this is a bit of a happier tune. It gets a smile on your face, it gets your heart pumping because you're thinking about your crush, but also it doesn't have a unique identity to it. It feels like something that I've heard many times already before from another artist, and this one just kind of got coughed up. It's not bad. It's not good, it's somewhere in between, and probably something that I'm not going to come back to like 3. Metalcore act Prevail have returned with their second LP, Trauma, following up Lifelines, an album that I really didn't care about at all. In fact, I forgot it almost immediately, but I had so many requests pouring in for Trauma that I had to at least check it out and give it a mention here. Now this LP, I figured that I would probably have a distaste for it or maybe even a hatred for it, but I can't bring myself to say that at all. In fact, I did enjoy some of the tracks here. It's scattered, it's all over the place. Sure, it doesn't know what it wants to be, but when it works out for them with the experimentation, I'd have to say that they kind of nail it on tracks like Paranoid. There's also others that feel vaguely familiar to their peers in the community and scene, maybe Asking Alexandria, even Linkin Park, cheapened rip-off versions of those groups, and that's where I do kind of draw the line. But then there's the awesome, kick-ass opening track, Bow Down. I also enjoyed Low, Paranoid, which had a trappy feeling to it, and even Hurricane. Overall, I'm gonna give this a strong 3 out of 5. Iero, formerly of My Chemical Romance, is back with another solo project, although he does have the backing band too, and this time they've changed their name yet again, as they do for every cycle. This time, it's Iero and the Future Violence. I like that play on words there, and the first track, Young and Doomed, which I'm finally talking about. I know the album is due out at the end of May, and I'm just getting to the lead single, but it's a badass lead single. Frank sounds amazing on the vocals here. He channels his inner punk rage. He started off there even before My Chemical Romance, and some people don't realize how deep those connections go. And here, I just feel like himself and the rest of the band are in top form. I think it's catchy, but also kind of heavy. Also kind of like a melodic heaviness to it. Not quite hardcore, but definitely some punk tendencies. The drums, the guitars, and the vocals all stood out to me. I keep coming back to this one. I'm giving it a strong 4, maybe even a light 4.5. I'm not seeing enough love for this, so I wanted to pass on some kind words and recommendations to them. This is a record that I feel if Sum 41 and the band Microwave came together and had like a cousin, if that makes any sense at all, then this could be them, at least in places. I love the anger that definitely bleeds through on some of these, and just the simmering rage. It's like somebody in a corner and you know they want to erupt, and occasionally they go off, and when they do, it's so great. And there's definitely more than a few instances here. Some of my favorite tracks are those in particular, like Sugar Coated, where they're really just unleashing, and also Cut My Losses, probably my favorite on the LP. It starts off slow and definitely has some heavy topics covered, but it really just goes for it and goes for the jugular almost. There's other tracks that definitely pace things differently. I was introduced to them by the title track, Fake Blood. I have to recommend this thing. Not every track is gold, but I'm going to give Fake Blood as an album a 4. Emarosa are next on the docket. Their new album is called Peach Club, and hot damn, this thing is actually really fire in such a different way than I ever would have expected. I never cared about this band all that much. It's just a personal preference thing leading up to this album, but I am such a sucker for synth pop that this album has totally won me over. It's a fun listen. It's not reinventing the wheel, I want to make that clear, but it's such a fun listen. There's emotion, there's a little bit of romance in there, kind of fun, and maybe a new relationship, stuff like that. Given Up leads off this album as one of the singles, and that is just joy and ecstasy and a musical track right there. And it does not let up in my eyes. I feel like there's so many great songs. So Bad just makes me swoon, and the closing moment, Wait Stay, the delicate, really precise guitars on that one are fantastic. Check this thing out. I'm giving it a 4. By day, he may be Brad Taste in Music on YouTube, but by night, he's Big Baller B. Thanks to Nate is Lame petitioning me to review this, we're finally covering some Big Baller B on the channel in the form of an official review. I think in the past, maybe some of the songs that I had heard from this project, maybe unironically I couldn't necessarily like, but to this one, Is That Yo Girl, the name of the single that dropped at the end of March. I'm actually really liking this track. The production, especially knowing that he's balling on a budget over there, is pretty fire, really catchy. And my only real criticism of the track is that perhaps the chorus gets a bit too wordy and runs on a bit too long, but the verses, especially the second verse, that is where Brad brings the punch. And I'm honestly shocked that this is the man that I knew from YouTube, and now he's in this, jumping down some dude that he used to go through high school with's throat, because look how the tides have changed. I'm giving this a 4. Shoegazy 90s alternative rock influenced band Teenage Wrist are back with a new EP, which came as a shock to me. Their debut album, Chrome Neon Jesus, just dropped in March of 2018, and now already in 2019, we've got the Counting Flies EP. It reminds me of the 90s because the Jar of Flies EP, Alice of Chains, and now we have Counting Flies by a 90s influenced band. And just from the opening track, Mary alone, I really knew that I was going to be invested in this little project. It's only 3 songs, but that one has such an enveloping feel to the guitars, the way that they swell and the way that the vocals come in. and I love the visual illusions that are used here, speaking to death, the roses, everything like that. I feel that Mary and also Sparkle/Fade, the closing moment, are probably my two top favorites out of the three. I think that closing track, it brings something nice. It's so well rounded. The drums, the washed out guitars, everything in the mix. It's coming through strong, and the year of the 4 continues because, yeah, this is getting a 4 out of 5. We can finally take off the tinfoil hats because Tom DeLonge and Angels and Airwaves are back, and they've actually re-added some of the members that were no longer there, like David Kennedy. I know that's exciting to me as somebody who was kind of missing them. I haven't exactly been a crazy Angels and Airwaves fan really ever, but especially in recent years. I just wasn't crazy about the Dreamwalker or anything, but we get Rebel Girl as their comeback single. This is a track that immediately has an electricity to it. The synthesizers are kind of buzzing, and while it might feel reminiscent of maybe some other bands' style, I feel that they add something here. Maybe it's just me seeing them back and I'm like, oh, that's nice, and I'm kind of clicking with the track for that reason. But I have given it a little bit of time, some space, and I feel that it's a solid tune, not a great one, but something that could start Angels and Airwaves off on a great new adventure. I'm gonna give this a light 3.5, cautiously optimistic for what's to come. You guys have been begging me to talk about Earth by Lil Dicky for some reason. I know it's a big song, a big event, so I guess we'll close out this installment of Rapid Reviews by doing so. Lil Dicky hasn't exactly done anything that I would call mind-blowing in the past, but here he tried to have a good message. I can at least appreciate that. I feel like some people were coming down a bit too harshly. I know that he didn't lay out a map or a plan of how to fix the Earth and global warming and all that, but I feel it at least started a conversation and there's something to be said there. But the song itself, especially outside of the context of the music video, holy shit, not good. Chorus, awful, unfunny. I mean, the video, it got a few chuckles out of me. It's not laugh out loud hilarious 24/7 or anything, but outside of the video, it's pretty much nothing. This is a light 1.5 out of 5. Subscribe for the love of music and ring the bell so you get notified when I post future videos like this. If you want to see the last episode of Rapid Reviews, then tap right over here, or tap here for another recent video I posted on the channel. All of my social medias that you can see here on screen can be found in the description down below, along with more info on the projects that I covered today, and I'll see you soon for more on ARTV.